and now it is the generally, for the players, it's the reward for a good season. They do the bowls, and for us, it's usually the payoff, for the whole season of college football. But the game has changed in recent years. Players don't play, and coaches leave early because of recruiting, early signing and all that other stuff. So, it's just kind of a real mishmash of games here, and we're going to go over these, but as usual, we'll have premium picks on a lot of these games and updates as well on the morning shows, the live shows, the other videos, and everything else. So, what is today in college football might not be the same next week. So we're going to go through all the games up until December 28th, and then we're going to resume and do another show. Hopefully we have updated information on some of this, because I see players even from schools like Michigan that are in the playoff, in the portal, and Georgia as well. Which is you haven't seen in the past. This is the first time that really players, they're not sitting, for the NFL draft, but they are entering the portal. So the portal's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yep.
What a disaster for college sports. But anyways, we go to tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning. Got UAB taking on Miami of Ohio in the Hometown Lenders Bahama Bowl. Chris or Ron, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I think UAB is a lot better than its 6-6 record. I do think they're going to win this game going away. Miami, Ohio, I just don't love the way that these MAC teams hold up in the bowl games, defensively especially. Even though the defense was good in conference play, I don't think it's going to travel well in this bowl game. And UAB, an offense that's earning 6.0 yards per carry on the ground, 443 total yards per game of offense. I just think their offense is way too much in this one. So I'd love to be able to back the dog here, but I can't. I'm going to lay the points with UAB.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I like UAB here. We all know the struggles that the MAC have had documented. This is the worst conference in college football bowl games as underdogs. Going back a while, they're only winning about 15% of the games, covering around 40%. So, yeah, I think UAB going to be highly motivated here, especially if Bryant Vincent coaches the bowl game. I think Trent Dilfer was named the coach for next year, but a lot of the players like Bryant Vincent. I think there's going to be a lot of motivation for UAB here, so I'll take the Blazers.
I'm looking more at the under in this game. I know it's rising up to 44.5 from 44, but I just don't see a ton of points here. We've seen UAB playing in some low-scoring games, and we've seen Miami. We see Miami of Ohio playing in tons of low-scoring game. I don't know. Bowl games generally are higher scoring, but I think this one's going to be low scoring. This Bahamas Bowl is always a snoozer. I think this is the first time that it's been back in the Bahamas in a while, right? Didn't the Bahamas Bowl get played like in Boca or something?
I think for a couple years because of COVID.
Yep. Well, we go to the Cure Bowl. I don't usually use the brand names of these bowls unless they really went all the way and, eliminated the name of the bowl altogether and only made it the brand name. So it's like, unless they really squeeze me into it, I never refer to them by the brand name, except certain ones that, they have exposed us all the way out. But I don't know. I think, these are the ones where you kind of, these were the arguments for the college football playoff, is these games. Troy versus UTSA. I think UTSA is one of the better early bowl game teams. I think that they could have been in a better bowl game than the Cure Bowl, named after a 80s band. Not really sure. Will the Cure be playing at halftime? Is that how that works?
Highly doubt it.
Not in the budget.
I think they're going to play me at halftime.
2-11-2 teams here going at it, so really not a horrible game in this one. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the under in this one. It's kind of crazy. Both of these teams, pretty similar teams overall. The Troy defense has been consistent all year long, and they get a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And UTSA loves to run the football. They do it about 40 times a night, but Troy's run defense was really good this season, 3.3 yards per carry allowed. And they played some tough running style offenses, teams like WKU, Western Kentucky, Marshall, holding those teams to under 100 rushing yards. So I don't know if UTSA's normal offensive game plan is going to work in a game like this, but I also think UTSA's defense is solid. And Troy's offensive line had some issues down the stretch, some issues holding up in terms of pass blocking and run blocking. So I think we're going to see a lot of tackle for losses and some sacks in this game, and I like the under.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards UTSA here. I like this Roadrunners team. I like Frank Harris at quarterback. Looks like there's pretty much almost all continuity for UTSA. No opt outs. No. The only player that's really missing of note that I'm seeing is Brendan Brady, one of their top running backs. But other than that, it's pretty much all systems go for UTSA. I don't know. I wasn't all that enthused with Troy's last couple of games down the stretch. They beat up on teams like Arkansas State, Louisiana Monroe. Put up just 10 points against Army, 23 against ULL, and they beat up on a coastal team in the conference championship game that was without their starting quarterback. So I think UTSA going to come in and play. I think UTSA gets the job done here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm gonna go with UTSA here. I just they're a team I've been riding for a couple of years here. I know Troy's been good, and it's another one of these early season bowl games. It seems to me with my early season bowl, like the pre-Christmas bowls, either I hit them all or I hit none. So we'll know probably by mid Saturday exactly where I'm at. It's like I just find that either I hit them all or I lose them all. It's those kind of matchups, but I like the way UTSA is when we look at the resume and the losses. I think that both of them, Houston in overtime and Texas, was the other one. Both games that I watched. Troy, I don't know. I think in their losses they had their chances too. I don't know. Just UTSA for me, better quarterback, right? Take them there. Anyways, go to Louisville versus Cincinnati in the Fenway Bowl. Interesting because the Louisville coach becomes the Cincinnati head coach. Is he, does he know the Louisville game plan for this one? He's giving it to Cincinnati. Will the keg of nails be there? This is the keg of nails matchup. Is Louisville Cincinnati? Will the keg be there? I'm sure it will be. But I thought that this is one of the cooler ones. The Fenway Bowl is a new bowl, and this is a game that Miami was projected to be in this game, and they didn't make it to be bowl eligible. But if they would have made it, I would have gone. I mean, this is going to be a cool one. It's the first time of having it. The Fenway Bowl. I think it's going to be a good one. Good setting to watch a game. 11 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday. They're really trying to get these games in early and get optimum viewing times because the NFL decided to just say, screw you this year. They're going to go right up against them on this Saturday. You don't always see that. What you generally see is, and they did the same thing to the NBA on Christmas Day. Same thing. So NFL just pushing people around. We'll see if it works out for them or not because, we could be watching this Louisville-Cincinnati game while they're got the Colts and the Vikings. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, they got a game at 11, 2:30, 3:30, 5:45, so just all throughout the day, a lot of college football Saturday. But in this matchup, I'm leaning towards Louisville and the points. I just think Louisville's the better team. I think it's really something to look at how the defense has improved over the last few seasons for Louisville. You look at last year's numbers, 27 points per game allowed, 403 yards per game allowed, struggled both against the run and the pass. This season, they improved to 20 points per game allowed, so about a touchdown difference, only 348 total yards allowed, good against the run, only holding teams under 4 yards per carry, getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and a good pass defense, ranked 30th in the country in pass efficiency defense. So real big improvements with the Cardinals defense, and I think they have the better chance of moving the ball in this game. The Cincinnati team, pretty down year after last year's pretty historic season for the Bearcats, but I don't really like the way this team has looked, and I know Mr. Ruffalo can agree with that. I know he's a big anti-Cincinnati guy and Ben Bryant, but I'm going to take Louisville and lay the points.
Look at Romanelli putting me in a box. I'm actually going to take Cincinnati here.
Wow.
I know. You know what? This is a game where I think the opt-outs come into play here. Malik Cunningham opting out, Tyon Evans opting out. I'm not a fan of Brock Doman as their backup quarterback. I don't know. I just feel that Cincinnati, for all the flack I gave them in the regular season, played better against what I think is the better opposition. Personally, I don't know. I think this was a down year for the ACC, and I think Cincinnati going to rise to the occasion here. We talk about just the injuries that Cincinnati's had. Ben Bryant now out, so Evan Prater steps in. But Prater wasn't bad in the couple of times we saw him this season. Especially, I remember he was playing against Tulane. He kept Cincinnati in that game, and I think he can help Cincinnati get a win for the bowl game here. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this one.
I'm not a fan of Louisville. I haven't been all season, and I think Cincinnati could have done better than hiring Satterfield as the coach. I thought he was more attractive a few years ago. I didn't think he was that attractive of a hire right now, and the way Cincinnati's program has gone, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't love the Brian Kelly hire either when they hired him from Central Mich, but I liked it better than this one. I don't know, man. I think Louisville to me is they're not a good 7-5. They're not. It just seems when they're bad, they're really bad. We need to get the Bittler.
The anti-Bittler, they're not that bad.
Yeah, I want to get Bittler, how he always says they're not that bad. Get him, take that voice clip and put it in my soundboard, so I can push the button. They're not that bad. They're scrappy. They're crappy. Yeah, I think Cincinnati still has good days ahead. We've seen them cycle through head coaches, and they've only swung and missed one time recently. So, I think Luke Fickell might regret leaving the Cincinnati job with them headed to the Big 12. I think he's going to regret it. There are certain coaches that they keep moving up and up and up, and they eventually start to regret it. And I think we start to see it. I think, the ones in recent memory, when Dan Hawkins left Boise and took the Colorado job, it's kind of like he's seen as the guy who, he's not seen as the guy that built Boise, even though he was, because he was so miserable at Colorado. Dan Munson at Gonzaga, I would say he would love to have that one back. I would think, after getting them to the Sweet 16, or was it the Elite 8? He got them to the Elite 8 and then took the Minnesota job. And then they brought Mark Few in, who's seen as the guy, even though he wasn't. He just kind of kept the ball rolling. And then, of course, Butch Davis, who took the Cleveland Browns job after having, the team of the century at Miami. But, yeah, I think Luke Fickell making a big mistake. Wisconsin. Big mistake. Got Oregon State taking on Florida in the Vegas Bowl. It's a good day to not be in Vegas with all those Gator fans there. Ron, is that the day of your graduation? Is that Saturday?
No.
Oh, they wouldn't have it on the same day as the Vegas Bowl.
This is a tough one for me because Anthony Richardson is going to be sitting out for this one. Gators overall,
is
not
he
a
transferring?
good season. No, he's going to the draft.
Yeah.
Who's going to draft him?
He's a potential top 10 pick, they're saying.
Oh, Lord.
Top 10 quarterback or top 10 overall?
Player. And I've seen some mock drafts have him in the top 10 overall. Top 3 quarterback.
Well, that's why they called him mock.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Really?
I'm not lying. Let me look up a Mac. I mean, his draft stock could have fallen a little bit over the last few weeks.
I wanted to do this today, by the way. we'll do this in just a second. Also, after this game, we'll do it. So I saved.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see. No, I see ninth. Yeah, Ron's right. They have
All
him
right.
going ninth.
Well, I saved all the college football preview magazines from this season, so we're gonna just quickly go through these top tens. We'll do it after this game. I wanted to do it on this show, and we'll just we won't beat it into the ground. We'll quickly go over to show you how these guys that project these things, how good they are at it. Okay. And how, we knew this stuff a mile away, 10 miles away. We told them this when the magazine came out. They don't listen to us. Anyways.
Give me the Gators. Give me the Gators and the points. I don't think Oregon State's offense is good enough, particularly in the passing game. I also don't think the Pac-12 schedule is tough enough. It just goes to show you when you see USC going down in the Pac-12 championship. Yet again, the Pac-12 loses its chance to make the college football playoff, and these teams beat each other up. They kind of just take each other out, and I don't think that's a good enough strength of schedule. Gators, a lot of players injured, a lot of players transferred, a lot of players dismissed from the team. Pretty much a nightmare year for Billy Napier overall in your first year of a program. Brighter days ahead with some nice recruiting done already, but I still think that this team's good enough running back group and good enough offensive line to move the ball on the ground and at least cover this number. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win it outright, to be honest with you, though.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards the under here. There's going to be a lack of production on both sides. I don't trust either offense. Florida's starting a ton of backups here. And Oregon State, they do have, some talent that they can move the ball up and down the field. We've seen them score points in bunches of times this season. But going up against an SEC defense, I don't see Oregon State having a ton of success here. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the under in this one.
I'm going to take Oregon State here, lay the points. I just love betting against Florida. I have no problem laying it. I like Oregon State first half, second half, first quarter game all the way. The only problem is that Richardson's sitting, so it's like we don't have that angle to play. So we'll just go with Oregon State. Call it a day. Of course, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter in game as well, and halftime.
Fifth quarter too.
Yes, Las Vegas Bowl.
Gators will be on their third string quarterback.
All right, we'll do one magazine at a time here, and we'll just read through the top 10 or whatever they have, top 10, top 25, and just to show you how not even close a lot of the times these guys are. A lot of the stuff, of course, you just put Alabama, Ohio State, whatever, right? And you're going to be okay, but some of these are just like the Texas A&Ms. Everybody has them. Is ridiculous. Actually, what they are number one is players in the transfer portal. So here's Athlon Sports. Okay, Athlon said at the beginning of the season, number 1 Alabama, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Georgia, number 4 Clemson. So they're reasonable, right? These are all pretty much layups, right?
Teams.
Yeah, but they're all layups. Number 5 Texas A&M, 6 Michigan, 7 Notre Dame, 8 Utah, 9 USC, 10 Oregon, 11 Baylor, 12 NC State, 13 Oklahoma, 14 Michigan State, 15 Cincinnati, 16 Wake Forest. They're in your club. They say Sam Hartman in this tiny little paragraph 4 times. Oklahoma State 17, Tennessee 18, Wisconsin 19, Miami 20th, Kentucky 21st, Pittsburgh 22nd, Arkansas 23, Houston 24, Penn State 25. So some big misses in there in the top 10, Texas A&M most notably. The other team that most of these magazines you'll see as we go through them that have way off is Oklahoma. Have them way overrated. When we look at the bottom teams here, they have Connecticut 129th out of 131.
Now they're in a bowl game.
Ohio, Buffalo, Ball State, Arkansas State, Texas Tech, La Tech. Eastern Michigan, 113th. I mean, I don't agree with any of this stuff. But it just goes to show you. Kansas State, 41st. Where do they have TCU, right? That's the team that everybody missed. So they have TCU 55th, right behind Nebraska at 54th.
No.
They had Louisville 44th. Yeah. Boston College 43rd. Ahead of all those teams. Florida 33rd. James Madison 98th. Old Dominion 97th. Colorado 92nd. So Colorado's ahead of
JMU.
Yeah. And they're ahead of JMU. They're ahead of a lot of teams. They're ahead of Middle Tennessee, Eastern Mich. You know.
They're also ahead in the amount of the times the end zone got in the way this season.
Yeah, these are the guys. These are the thank me later people.
Yeah.
They got Rutgers at 81st. Where's Wisconsin in this thing? Did we already pass them? Did they already have them up higher than this? Top 25? Usually Wisconsin's a good one for being overrated. Wow. Anyways, we got a bunch more, so we'll call it. We have two more of these. So I always save them just to go back and check just for these reasons. Should we look at their Heisman leaders? I don't want to go too long on this because we have we got other games to go. Bowl projections, the All-American team. So they don't have Heisman favorites. They don't have the Heisman favorites. All right. Go to our next game. Texas A&M. Miami, 20th. It's TCU ranked 55th and Miami ranked 20th and Texas A&M ranked 5th. This is kind of my problem. The other team that you're going to see in these rankings that's really, really high across the board outside, everyone's got Texas A&M up there. But the team you're going to see up there a lot is Oklahoma. A lot of Oklahomas. Got the LA Bowl. This one's got double sponsors on it. Fresno taking on Washington State. I'm going to guess this one's in LA. Ron?
I'm going to fade the Pac-12 again. Give me Fresno State. I like the way they played down the stretch this season on both sides of the ball. Good passing offense. Give me Fresno State laying the points.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to take Fresno as well. I think if you had a full season of Jake Haener, this Fresno team could have easily been 11-1 this season. So I like Fresno a lot. I'm going to take them as well. I think they win this one by at least a touchdown.
If I wouldn't have seen the Mountain West Championship game, I probably would have leaned Washington State here. But after watching them against Boise in that game, I like Fresno as well. Because I'm a little worried about the Mountain West teams because they're bad this year. There's really only two good teams in the Mountain West. It was a really down year for Mountain West. We go to our next game, Southern Miss taking on Rice. I've never won betting on Rice, so I'm on Southern Miss in this game. I'm 0 and 168 in Rice games of any sport, including baseball. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, the Rice offense down the stretch was absolutely horrible. I can't back them in this spot. Southern Miss defense solid this year. Big improvements for this team, really for this program. Last year they only won 3 games and they struggled. They only had 2 Division I game or FBS games, I should say. So I think Southern Miss is too much in this spot for Rice. I'll lay the points.
Yeah, I want Southern Miss as well. Southern Miss can at least hang their hat. They were one of 2 teams to beat Tulane, and I think they'll finish the year with a high note here. Rice, like Ron said, terrible at finishing drives, and I think this is a Southern Miss win by at least a touchdown, maybe even double digits. So give me Southern Miss.
Go to the New Mexico Bowl where BYU has played in this game a ton of times up against SMU, BYU 3.5-point dogs in this one. I can only think that they must have a bunch of players not playing in this thing. Ron?
Yeah, but I still think that they're good enough to hang in this game. I like what they look like down the stretch. They played some tough defenses and still put up a good amount of yards and points. It was a huge disappointing year for BYU. This is not a program that expects to go 7-5 and limp into a bowl game. But I still think if you're going to give them point, I just don't trust this SMU defense. Giving up 5 yards per carry on the ground. The secondary wasn't great either. 35 points per game allowed. Both defenses aren't good, but I'll lean towards BYU.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with SMU here, just based on the fact that Jaron Hall could still be out for this game for BYU. If he can't go, I don't trust this BYU offense to go with anyone else. So I lean towards SMU. I just think they're better offense. The best defense for them has been a good offense, and I think that win this one, again, not my favorite game on the board, though.
For me, I've watched SMU a ton this year, and they haven't had any better defense with any offense or better defense doing anything. This team cannot stop the run. They cannot stop the run. If you can't stop the run and you're up against a team that even if BYU is missing their quarterback, whatever, they always have an offensive line about 400 pounds across the board. I'm gonna take BYU to run them over. We see this in these bowl games every single year in these early season games. BYU plays in these things. It's always this bowl or the Las Vegas Bowl. They play in it just about every single year, and they go up against these schools like this, and you get it on the field, and they're 3 times the size of these guys. Also, their players are 10 to 15 years older than them as well. So I'm gonna take BYU in this spot. So
the literal men against boys.
It is literally men against boys. So we go to Lindy's college football preview. They were pretty unoriginal. They went with Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Texas A&M, Michigan, Utah at 7, even though they had that early season loss. But then it starts to get a little cloudy. Notre Dame at 8, Oklahoma State at 9, Oklahoma at 10. I mean, these guys, this is like, these are the reachers, man. These are all reaches. Oregon at 11, Baylor at 12, Arkansas 13, Miami 14, NC State 15, Wisconsin 16. This is a train wreck, man. Ole Miss at 17, Wake Forest 18, BYU, who we just spoke of, at 19, Michigan State 20, Cincinnati 21, USC 22, Houston 23, Kentucky 24, and Texas 25. Yeah, that's the size of things for Lindy's. We look at some of the other teams in here, and we see SMU checking in at 54, TCU at 44, Kansas State at 36, LSU 29, Tennessee 26, Colorado 83. To me, the barometer is how low do you have Colorado ranked, and how low do you have TCU? Where do you have TCU? Right? I mean, these are kind of the things, and Texas A&M, of course. But I think you throw the Miami in at 14, the Arkansas at 13, the Oklahoma at 10, and the Oklahoma State at 9. And I mean, you're not even watching the same game that we're watching. I mean, because on top of that, right, on top of the 9s and 10s there, you still got Texas A&M at 5, which we've basically forgiven them on, which I don't see it. They charge $10.99 for this magazine, for that. Loaded with ads. Loaded. Complete Daniel Moore Art.com. It's Herschel. It's the art. And who's that? Oh, that's AJ Green. Is the other art. A tribute. Herschel. It's Herschel art. I'll just tell my wife. Yes, I'm going to the art show. I'm going to get a large, I don't know, 36 by 36 by 48 painting of Herschel.
Oh, what is that? Oh, it's a Herschel, darling. Don't worry about it.
Full page ads for offshore sports books. Bunch of those. A.O. Smith Golden Arm Award. Johnny Unitas. I don't even know what A.O. Smith is. A.O. Smith water heater will keep your family running. And DirecTV. All right. That's what we get from that. Next up is Phil Steele. He's normally a little bit better about this stuff. We'll have to see how he is. He claims that he's the best there ever is. Right? He says every year I was the best. He always says that he was the best last year because look what you're up against. You know, Miami 13. I had Miami number 1. You know, I could have done the same thing. Boise State against North Texas in the Frisco Bowl. So the first time that, I met somebody from South Dakota State, or not from South Dakota State, from North Dakota State, and it was a year that they won the championship, but they weren't expected to be there. And I met them in Maui at Coconuts Tacos, Fish Tacos, and I said, "Oh man, good luck in your game tomorrow." He said, "Oh, if I knew we were going to Frisco, I would have gone to Frisco instead." And I thought, who in the hell knew? I thought it was in San Francisco, but it's not. It's Frisco, Texas. Not quite the same thing. Boise State, who looked terrible in that conference championship game against Fresno, 9-4 on the season, which I think is pretty amazing considering how bad they started. Where's Hank Bachmeier when you need him? Rufo's probably Facebook friends with them. You ever like Facebook these guys? I mean, back in the day, like when Facebook first started, you could Facebook these college football guys and chat with them on Facebook and ask what's going on. You know that. Like one of my very first Facebook friends was Chris Todd. Remember him from Auburn, the quarterback?
Yeah.
Yep. That was like my first Facebook direct message conversation I ever had was with Chris Todd.
I'll take random facts you didn't know about Mitch for 400, Alex.
Yep. My first Facebook conversation in direct message I ever had was Chris Todd. I friended him. He friended me back. He's my Facebook friend. I wrote in the direct message, "You were born to run the spread offense." He wrote back, "Yes, I was." Chris is now offline. That was it. That was the extent of our friendship. Like,
you and Chris are no longer friends.
Remember, he ran the War Eagle offense at Auburn. Like he had transferred from Texas Tech, where he had run the spread there, and then he transferred to Auburn. And it's like he ran they called it like the Eagle Alarm or something. It was like under Gus Malzahn. It's like I wrote, "You were born to run the spread offense." Yes, I was. Chris is now offline. That was the last conversation we ever had. I believe he unfriended me. I don't think these guys would do that anymore. That's how long I've been on. Anyways, Ron, what do you think? Boise State against North Texas. Do you know Chris Todd? You ever hear of him?
Yeah, he was like 2008,
something
right
like
around
that.
Tebow.
Yeah, that's exactly like that was like right when I first started Sports Chat. It's called College Football Place.
The first few years, the Gators were dominant. Sports Chat Place, College Football Place. I'm going to lay the points with Boise State in this matchup. I think their defense is too much. And yes, they didn't look great in that Mountain West final, but they outgained Fresno State 321 to 245. It was really the turnovers. They were -2 in the turnover battle there. I think they win the turnover battle here. Force them from North Texas. Defense not good enough. 31 points allowed. 460 yards were allowed per game. Give me Boise State.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the points with North Texas only because this line moved now through 10. I think this is, at worst, I think it's a 10-point win for Boise State. North Texas got a really balanced offense. And, I know the defense has been an issue for North Texas for much of the season. I've really lauded Boise State for how well they played with Taylor Green, under quarterback after switching from Hank Bachmeier. But to me, this still just feels like just a case of too many points in this one. So I'll take North Texas plus the 10.5.
I'm going to lay the points with Boise. I just think their defense is too much for North Texas. Even though I do believe North Texas might be a little bit more motivated than Boise. Definitely going to watch this instead of the Dolphins-Bills game. We go to Monday. Weekday daytime sports continues. UConn versus Marshall. Jim Mora. It really doesn't matter what happens to UConn here, man. You took them to a bowl game. That's pretty freaking amazing. I think they played in a few FCS teams in there.
Yeah.
They got, but even the game they lost against Utah State early in the season to start the season, they played well in that game. Yeah, they compete. You got to give credit to UConn. UConn hasn't always been horrible. They made it to a New Year's Day. Didn't they make it to the Orange Bowl? I believe they did. I believe they played Oklahoma in the Orange. It might have been the Dan Orlovsky team.
I remember seeing UConn play at the International Bowl when they had a yearly game in Toronto for like 3 years, and it was against Rutgers with Ray Rice. I remember that very, very well.
Well, UConn, let's look at their wins. Central Connecticut State, 28-3. Fresno State with at Jake Hayner. At FIU. UMass. They beat Liberty, which is a big one. And Boston College is a nice upset win, but not a very good Boston College team this year. I don't think it holds up against Marshall. Good story for the UConn Huskies, but UMass deserves to be here more than UConn. I'm going to defend them and take Marshall.
So it was 2011. It was the Fiesta, and it was Oklahoma versus Boise.
Not that long ago.
Oklahoma versus UConn. And Landry Jones set the record for what would be at the time the record passing in the Fiesta, 429 yards in that one. Randy Edsall was the coach. That was his first stint at UConn. Then he came back and coached there before he was fired again. And he became the coach at Maryland after that. Oh, my God. So in 2011, in the wake of the 2011 Fiesta, they released an internal report saying several members illegally gave campaign contributions and were reimbursed for it. And Jordan Todman was the big running back on that team for Connecticut. He was really good. I remember him. Were you with us then, Chris, back in 2011?
No, I was 2016.
Huh.
Feels like it though, doesn't it?
I was here. I think Randy was. I was here, 2011. Anyways,
Mark here?
Probably. Sure he was.
Never met a Liberty and Navy game we didn't like.
Connecticut, Oklahoma. He was pissed it was Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was the kind of guy that, oh man, I gotta take USC Alabama. Come on.
Ron was pre-Mark. Ron was post-Mark.
Post-Mark.
Yeah, he would have liked Mark.
Yeah.
It's like they'll sign up
He's
cheap for the
mod.
games. Mark sees Fairfield versus Marist. It's like he's got his name on it,
Yeah, Mark and Ron would be the two guys that would complain to you about each other because they both wanted like the Fairfield and Quinnipiac game.
Yep. Like I would always.
That's my Abilene Christian.
It was back on the days where I could set like what's the feature article on the site, and I could write the blurb underneath it, and I'd put the long-awaited Fairfield versus Marist matchup, and it'd be like all these other big games, and he had like the picture of the stag, with the horns. It's like, oh man, I wonder what Mark's up to. We should give him a call, have him on the show. He's a good guy. Anyways, I'm on UConn here against Marshall. Marshall's been disappointing on their least disappointing day. They just don't do anything for me. Georgia Southern, Georgia State, App State, Old Dominion, JMU. That's actually not too bad, right? When you put it that way. Liberty, UMass, Boston College, FIU. Big name teams. They beat a bowl team, Fresno State. UConn did. Hung in there against Michigan.
Yeah, sure.
They showed up.
Maybe. I don't even know if they did.
59-0. It was close. Closer than the score. They're not that bad. Scrappy.
Where's Bitler?
They had 6 first downs.
There are 6 good ones, though.
Yeah, they were all pass interference on the defense.
Might be more first downs than we see in the entire game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Go to our next game on the board, and it is San Jose State versus Eastern Michigan. Ooh, this is a tough one for me because, number one, I love potatoes. And every potato in my book is famous, even though it's a brand name. I never met a potato I didn't like. I saw a book at the grocery store, where you check out. It was like 75 ways to prepare potatoes. It's like I already knew like 78 of them. I'm browsing thing, It's like, I'm sure that'll be 116.31. I'm like, I'm on potato 54 over here. San Jose State versus Eastern Michigan. Pretty big for San Jose State to be here. Eastern Michigan 8-4, despite what Lindy said they would be. What do you think, Ron?
EMU, we like taking them as an underdog, mostly in MAC play, but I'm going to take them as a dog here. San Jose State, to me, was disappointing down the stretch. Defensively, they really struggled, and we're not good against the spread at all. So EMU, even though their defense is in the MAC conference, the defenses aren't great. These two teams are actually 64 and 65 in pass efficiency defense. So basically the same. I'm going to take Eastern Michigan in the points.
Yeah, I'm going to take Eastern Michigan as well. Eastern Michigan. I might even put some on the money line for Eastern Michigan as well. 5-1 in one possession games this season, and I don't know. San Jose State dealt with a lot this season, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to muster it up to get the job done here. So I'm gonna go with Eastern Michigan here.
Phil Steele calls himself the most accurate magazine, which, looking at everybody else, it doesn't really say much. How about this? Page 26, toughest schedule. Should we see what it is? Who he felt had the toughest schedule this year. Page 26. Did you read Phil Steele, Ron?
Yeah, I like Phil Steele.
Phil Steele has the small type. He has the very small type in his magazine. I wish they had the hard to read version, like a bad vision version.
You can blow it up on the computer.
Toughest schedule: Navy, Vandy, Arkansas, Auburn, Mississippi State, Boise State, Louisville, Texas, Texas Tech. Texas did have a tough schedule. I'll give them that. Most overrated schedules: Marshall, number 1. Army, Colorado State, Eastern Michigan. Wow, they play each other. Georgia Southern, Old Dominion, Boise, UNLV, Hawaii, Rice, Troy, Coastal, Navy, App State, Georgia State Air Force. Toledo, Buffalo, New Mexico, San Jose State, Western Michigan, Florida Atlantic, ULM, La Tech, UAB, Texas State, Middle Tennessee. I don't know where his the 2022 toughest schedules is Auburn, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Arkansas, Vandy, LSU, Stanford, Indiana, Louisville, Rutgers. You can't really argue with that. I would say Louisville's probably shouldn't be there, but Phil Steele, always tough to find what you're really looking for. It's just a lot of information he packs in here. Oh, here it is. It's preseason top 40. Here we go. The most accurate magazine. Number 1. Who do you think he has?
Alabama.
Alabama. Number 2. Who do you think he has?
Ohio State.
Yeah. Number 3.
Georgia?
Yeah. Same as everybody else. 4. Clemson. 5.
I forgot
Michigan. He's got the same picks as everybody else. Michigan. But this is where it gets different. He moves Utah up from 7, where we've seen him everywhere else. He's 6th. And he's got Notre Dame 7. He's got Oklahoma moved up from 10th to 8th. Then he's got Texas A&M not in that 5 spot where everybody else has him. He has him at 9. So he still has him in his top 10. So he is the most accurate, but not by much. Really not by much at all. Texas A&M, Oregon, Pitt, Miami, he's got at 12. So he's way less accurate than everybody else there. NC State. Why does everyone have NC State so high? Baylor, Oklahoma State. So he's got them a little bit lower than Lindy did. Oh, this is like continued on page something. Page 45. USC, UCF, Texas, Wisconsin, Iowa, UAB at 21. Penn State, Michigan State, Wake, Cincinnati, BYU, Tennessee, UCLA. So everyone's got TCU way underrated. He doesn't even have TCU in his top 50. He doesn't have TCU in his top 60. Yeah, he's not the most accurate this year. Not anymore, he's not. Maybe by the Phil Steele ratings he is, but not by mine. You don't have TCU in your top 60.
You lost the credibility.
Yeah, you lost the cred. At least the other guys had him at 55 and 45. Phil Steele. I get a lot of people that write me that want to be handicappers on the site saying that Phil Steele said that they're the best pickers he's ever met. He must say that to everybody, because I've gotten at least 30 to 40 capper applications that have said that. All right. Toledo versus Liberty. This one's the Boca Raton Bowl, home of Flakowitz Deli. They should change it to the Flakowitz Bowl. Chris, Ron, what do you think? Side of matzo ball soup with this one?
I'll take it, but I'm going to take the under in this one. Not my favorite game right now. I like Toledo's defense. 26 points per game allowed in the MAC is not an easy thing to do. Liberty played a tough schedule for, they played a lot of weak teams. They also scheduled up at Wake Forest, at UMass, at Arkansas, Virginia Tech, some tough teams, BYU, UAB's another one. So I think the defense was overall held up pretty well for Liberty. I'm going to take the under.
Of course, Free's gone at Liberty.
Mm-hmm. He's at Auburn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to take Toledo here. My concerns about Daquan Finn were addressed in the MAC title game. He looked really good in that game, and this is a senior-laden Toledo team that I think is going to want to go out with a bang here. So I look for Toledo to run it up on Liberty. Liberty started all 3 quarterbacks in their last game of the season, so I think they got a bit of a conundrum here with who to actually start for this game. So I'm going to stick with Toledo in this one.
Chris, what was that logo that we saw this morning? Earl Harvey? Was that the name of the college?
It was something like that, yeah.
Earl Harvey? You ever hear of him, Ron? They got the logo. It looks like Los Pollos from Breaking Bad. It's like Elon all over the Blue Hose. It's like, who was it that played them? Oh, it might have been that Southeastern Louisiana Nichols game. Nichols usually plays these guys. Oh, yeah, here it is. It's actually Southeastern Louisiana played it. William Carey.
Oh.
Yeah. It's actually a knight with a shield, but it looks like the chicken from Los Pollos. Easily confused. I like Liberty in this one against Toledo. I think they're just the more physical team. I'm not sold on MAC teams in bowl games. I've lost so much on them. I'll go with Eastern Michigan only because I've had taken them for years. We go to the New Orleans Bowl, which just isn't the same without Joe. What's his name? Joe Bradshaw? Is that his name, Chris? The guy from ULL.
Oh man,
Joe Bradshaw, I think it was.
Yeah, the name's escaping me, but I know who you're talking about.
ULL QB Joe.
I remember it was Levi Lewis like a while ago, but yeah, a couple years ago, but
I can't remember his name. Man. What's his name? He played there forever. It doesn't. Then his name escapes me.
I hate to do this to you guys, but I do have to go at 2:00, so I don't mean to laugh at you. I'm just saying his name escapes me.
All right.
Sounds like enough of this.
Feeling a little bit.
Ron's like 2:00. He's like speed it up a little bit. All right, we'll stay on point here. I like Liberty there. We go to our next bowl, the New Orleans Bowl, USA versus Western Kentucky. Ron, what do you think?
I love that line, but I'm gonna take Western Kentucky here. I like the way their offense works. I mean, last season with Bailey Zappi, it's tough to replace that kind of production, but I think they did a pretty good job of it overall. And the defense has actually improved quite a bit from last season as well. They were giving up 30 points per game last year, only 23 this season. Secondary sharpened up. Not that great against the run, but for me, South Alabama, good defensively, not enough offense for me. So I'm going to take the points here, Western Kentucky.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Western Kentucky as well. South Alabama had a great showing this year, but I think Western Kentucky can do enough with that offense to keep themselves at least within a field goal here. They've been kings of the one-score loss this season, so give me Western Kentucky plus the points.
I'm going to go South Alabama in this one. I like the way they played most of the season. I won some good money on South Alabama. Western Kentucky, to me, is just a little bit to the soft side. I like teams that are a little bit tougher, and I think South Alabama showed some real grit. I like the way they looked in that UCLA game earlier this season. Go to our next game. Now that Ron Romanelli has told me to shut up and keep moving.
I didn't want to say it.
But it's okay. Wouldn't be the first time.
You didn't want to, but you did.
Yeah.
We go to the Armed Forces Bowl. Air Force versus Baylor. Now we start getting into some good teams. This one's on Thursday, December 22nd. So this is the first showing of good teams that could play against the big boys. Both of them could. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough game for me because I really like taking these military triple option teams, especially when they're getting points in these bowl games. And I think right now I'm leaning towards Air Force and the 5 points you're getting, 5.5 at some spots. Baylor's a very solid team, but I did not like the way they looked at all at Texas. And they've just kind of been inconsistent defensively for most of the year. Against the run, they've been pretty good overall, but most of that was at the beginning of the season where they started the first 4 games of the year holding teams under 100 yards. In conference play, we saw a few spots where teams were able to run all over them, and especially in the second half of games like the TCU game. So I'm going to take Air Force. I think they can control the tempo in this game, control the possessions, and at least cover this number, probably a field goal game either way. So I'll take the points.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under here. I kind of like this Dave Aranda defense when you give it a couple weeks, maybe even 3-4 weeks to prepare for the option offense, and I don't expect Baylor to have a ton of success against Air Force's defense as well. I think this is just going to be a struggle for a full 60 minutes. So I like the under 48.5 in this one.
Um, I'm gonna go with Baylor in this one. I think they're just the physical team. They've played in the better conference, so they're built to play against bigger and better than what they should face here. We go with Houston against ULL. This one is the Independence Bowl. This one is in Shreveport, right? Luxury trip. This is to reward the kids for a good season. You have yourself a nice time over in Shreveport.
They get orange slices after the game. I'm going to take Houston, lay the points. I just think Louisiana, I think they're, I don't want to say lucky, but fortunate. It's kind of the same word as lucky to be in a bowl game this season. It was a complete rebuild, a lot of production loss from last year's team. Billy Napier goes to the Gators. This team was not expected to do too much at all. So for them to make the bowl game, I say great job, guys. But Houston, I think, is the better team that was projected to do a lot of big things. Mitch mentioned a couple of different magazines had them ranked inside the top 25 by the end of the season. Didn't have that much success, but I think they're better on both sides of the ball, and I think they win this game by double digits.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Houston here. Just straight fade of our friend at ULL, and I think Houston finishes the year strong. Wins this one by a touchdown. I just again I'm not a ULL fan. I think Houston wants to at least save some face by getting a win by at least a touchdown in the bowl game. So lean towards Houston here.
Everyone knows my relationship with ULL Lafayette. Mr. Moran from there.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah.
Moran.
Yeah. Is it Moron or Moran? Excuse me. I do have a question about this. So I think Lafayette's just not enough here, and ULL or UL Lafayette. I just don't think.
Raging Cajuns. Cajun Raging.
Yeah. Them. I like Houston here. Dana Holgerson makes a lot of freaking money to go 6-7-5.
He sure does.
Right? Be nice to look for Tillman Fertitta. It's a good gig if you can get it. I think Bubba Gump's hiring, Chris. Got Missouri versus Wake Forest. Sam Hartman, not the year we were hoping for. Elon putting it on the Blue Hose.
What's the score?
46-34.
Woof.
Yeah, it's all Phoenix out there.
It's all Phoenix.
Phoenix and 4.
This Wake Forest game looks to me like a good game to Ruffalo right now. I'll lean towards the under. I don't think Wake Forest's offensive line was good enough this season. I think that was one of the bigger reasons why they struggled so much. We saw it in that game against Louisville. All the turnovers, the sacks, 8 sacks allowed in that game, sack fumbles and scooping scores. The offensive line was miserable in that game. It didn't get much better by the end of the year, and that was against a pretty weak ACC conference schedule. I mean, you played teams like North Carolina and Duke that don't really play much of any defense, and they were still able to get some pressure on the quarterback. Missouri offensively, not great either. The defense stepped it up this year in a big way. I like the way the defense looked against Arkansas. It's not easy to hold Arkansas to under 30 points, and they were able to do that in their most recent game. So give me the under in this one. I think the total's just set too high.
Chris?
Yeah, you were a day early for Ruffalo Day on this one, unfortunately. But I do like Missouri here. The construction and demolition of Sam Hartman from Mount Ruffalo has definitely completed here. I'm off the Demon Deacons. Missouri finished the season really well. They won 3 straight to close out the year, and they won back-to-back games to close out the year. And I was really impressed with Missouri against Arkansas. So I like Missouri to be able to win this game outright, getting a 1.5. I don't even think you need it. I'm gonna take Missouri here.
I'm gonna take Missouri as well. I'm not feeling it with Wake. I don't like the way that they finished the season. I think I'm not embarrassed for them. Like, they're plenty embarrassed on their own. But just to let everybody know, there's plenty of daytime weekday sports all week long next week, and we'll have it all covered at scpbetting.com as well as pickdogs.com, and live shows, videos, all that kind of stuff. Ron's what do we call it? Fast break?
No, but you got to get this down. Bank shot breakdown.
Bank shot
The
breakdown.
alliteration is not with the Ron, it's with the breakdown part. So bank shot breakdown. Listen, it was a struggle.
Ron's rank shot breakdown.
Ruh-roh, Randy.
Brought to you by Panda Express.
I would say I was trying to figure out. I don't want to do another rundown because I do the NFL rundown. MLB, so I try to figure out some kind of different name, but bank shot breakdown it is.
The bank shot breakdown. Yeah, there's lots of games, lots of daytime this week coming up, and then Christmas Eve it starts to wane down a little bit with that Indiana-Kennesaw State matchup. Anyways, I like Missouri. I like fading. Is that the game we're on? Yes, I like Missouri. Fading Wake Forest in general. We go to the Hawaii Bowl, and it's San Diego State and Middle Tennessee. Aloha Stadium is demolished, so this is being played at a high school stadium. Pretty interesting. This is Ruffalo Day, Ruffalo game, so feel free to Ruffalo the game if you wish, Ron.
I'll take a shot with San Diego State and lay the points. I think their defense is. I don't know where the points are going to come by for Middle Tennessee. I know that this was an offense that did some damage against Miami and FAU, 49 points against FAU, but San Diego State's defense, even though it was a down year for the Aztecs overall, still very, very sharp. I think there's a reason why San Diego State's this big of favorites in this matchup, so I'm gonna lay the points with the Aztecs.
Yeah, I just personally can't get there with San Diego State. I was burned by San Diego State a lot this season. Now the offense did step it up in spots, but yeah, I still got to think that Middle Tennessee shows up here, keeps it within 3 or 4 points. I don't expect this to be a high scoring game by any stretch, so maybe take the under 49.5 as well. But yeah, I lean towards Middle Tennessee plus the points.
Here's the argument against Mario Cristobal getting a head coach, staying the head coach in Miami. We've got the Quick Lane Bowl with Bowling Green taking on New Mexico State.
Oh, boy.
By the way, I like Middle Tennessee in the Hawaii Bowl against San Diego State. San Diego State, not a good team this year. Brady Hoke, just not quite up to snuff. But Bowling Green against New Mexico State, I mean, is this game on TV? I mean,
it's on ESPN.
Oh, my
2:30
God.
Eastern.
Wow. Monday, December 20. Monday, December 26th. So Saturday is a full NFL card. Sunday is a 3-game NFL card with the Christmas NBA card. So Monday will be a full NBA card, more than likely, following that, or very close to it, with Monday Night Football as well. But this one, Bowling Green, New Mexico, I guess you throw it on at 2:30 in the afternoon, all of a sudden it's like watching the Saints Falcons. I don't know. Low-level football. This one stinks. This is the worst game on the board.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is like if you're in that 1 through, we have to rate the things 1 through whatever. This is your 1-pointer.
Yep. A slight lean for me for Bowling Green. I don't know. It's just Bowling Green, the defense. Bowling Green laying the points. That's all I can say. This is a terrible game. New Mexico State, I give them credit. This is a program you usually don't see in a bowl game. Last year they only won 2 games, and one of them was against an FCS team. The other one was against UMass. So this season they beat Hawaii, hooray, New Mexico, UMass again, Lamar. The big win was at Liberty, and that was just kind of a crazy game. I think how many points was Liberty favored? I think like 3 touchdowns or so, and they lost 49-14, but still, beating Valpo 65-3 isn't enough for me to take you in this spot. Give me Bowling Green.
Chris?
Yeah, I lean towards Bowling Green as well, but I'm probably going to stick with the under too. I don't love this game. I think it's going to be an ugly game, and yeah, I lean towards Bowling Green, taking the under 47.5 in this game as well, though.
I'm taking New Mexico State. I'm a big Jerry Kill fan. We go with to the Camellia Bowl. Got Buffalo taking on Georgia Southern.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over in this one. I think both defenses, especially Georgia Southern, is just hideous. I mean, you look at their defensive numbers against the run: 5.8 yards per carry allowed to opposing teams, 240 rushing yards. And Buffalo likes to run the football pretty often, 40 plus times a night. They don't have a great yards per carry clip, but they're kind of like a triple option where they just run the football almost every play and get enough for a first down almost every drive. I mean, this Buffalo team went on a run where they scored 50, 24, 38, 34, 34 against some of the MAC defenses. But Georgia Southern is kind of a MAC type of defense. So, but the Georgia Southern offense played well this season, 34 points per game. Give me the over. Total's not large enough, even though it's already at 67.
Chris?
Yeah, I like the over, and I also like Georgia Southern here. I didn't like Buffalo down the stretch. Didn't like that they almost lost their bowl eligibility with a loss to Akron. They were able to squeak that one out, but 0-4 against the spread down the stretch, 1-3 straight up. I think Georgia Southern, the offense going to be too much here, but I'm with Ron. I like the over as well in this one.
I'm gonna go with Georgia Southern. I just can't get there with Buffalo. MAC teams, bowl games, no good. We go to our next one, the First Responder Bowl. Utah State against Memphis. I think both these teams super disappointing from what we've seen from these guys in the past. And I think Utah State, even with all the transfers, the expectation was higher than this. But they are playing in a Tuesday post-Christmas bowl game.
Yeah, I'm surprised they made a bowl game when you look at how they were doing at the beginning of the year. But they won 3 of the last 4 games down the stretch. And even though they lost that game to Boise 42-23, they actually outgained Boise State by 40 yards and put up 468 total yards of offense with Cooper Lega at quarterback. Not an easy thing to do. Boise State defense, one of the best in the Mountain West. So I think Utah State can compete in this matchup. You know, Utah State's defense struggles more so against the run than it does against the pass, where it gives up 5 yards per carry. But Memphis is more of a passing first offense. Their offensive line was not great in terms of a run block, and 3.8 yards per carry on the ground for Memphis. Not going to get it done in this type of matchup. So I think you're getting too many points here with the backup quarterback in Lega, who had a lot of games and under his belt, played a lot of big time games at BYU. He looked pretty good. Like I said, at Boise State, he had 306 passing yards. So give me Utah State.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the under in this one. I think, Utah State looked great down the stretch, but I think they're still gonna have some issues with the Memphis defense. That they played in a ton of overs early on, but they finished the year with 3 straight unders. I think this is going to be another one of those games. You might think you're going to see the points, but I think it finishes under the number. So give me the under.
I'm going to go with Utah State in this one. I think that, they certainly had the expectations coming in. Memphis, I didn't think they looked good at all this season, except in the Navy game. And that's because I bet on Navy. So, they knew I had bet on Navy, so they talked about it beforehand, and they kind of put the clamps on them. I don't know how I even got on Navy. I think I was in Vegas, and I heard I was talking to some guys in the sports book, and I'm like, I like Memphis. And I went, oh, man, I'm telling you, Navy. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm terrible. Terrible. Bro. ECU versus Coastal in the Birmingham Bowl. This is probably played at Legion Field. This is where Alabama used to play their duck-out games when they had their home winning streak going. It's like if they had a tough game, they would schedule it for Legion Field so it wouldn't count against the home winning streak.
Really?
Oh, yeah, really.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. They had the home winning streak. I know. Miami has the home winning streak at 59, the longest home winning streak. They broke Alabama's record at 58, but Alabama had losses within there that would have been home games. They scheduled all their tough games, like Penn State and Auburn games, were always at Legion Field in Birmingham, so they didn't count against the streak. Yep, the Iron Bowl was always at Legion Field, so they didn't.
So they would consider it like a neutral site, even though it was in Alabama.
Right. Yeah, even though it would have been a home game on their schedule. Like Penn State. Like when they played Penn State, it was at Legion Field in Birmingham. Yeah. That's why they hate us, because we call them out on it. They know it. They know it. They know it.
I can't even believe that.
That's how the Bear does things. No, I'm just kidding. He's an awesome coach, but it's like, he really was great. You guys, I know you younger guys never really got to see the Bear, coach, but you really missed something, because this guy was really, really good. It was like he never had it was rare. I mean, he always had good quarterbacks and stuff, but I mean, he won with, pretty generic players, for the most part. He had superstars, but not like today's day, where you have NFLers across the board. He won with Richard Todd. He won with Major Ogilvy. He won, man. The Bear won. Also, one of the first coaches to integrate. I believe he was the first of the Southern teams to integrate. What are you going to tell Bear Bryant he can't integrate? Good luck. Okay, I'll go somewhere else. Anyways. Coastal Carolina against East Carolina in Birmingham.
Yeah, I'm going to take ECU. Coastal Carolina, we just heard news. Grayson McCall's going to be in the transfer portal, and the Gators actually mentioned they might. It's been one of the rumored teams he might go to, but
it's a big step down from Anthony Richardson.
But Coastal Carolina down the stretch, not good. If you look at their last two games against tough teams on the road, James Madison and Troy, 47-7, 45-26. The defense not good enough, and the offense inconsistent as well. So I'll lay the points with the Pirates.
This will be the worst first-round pick if he goes in that spot since Christian Ponder. It will be the worst first-round pick. Yes. It will be the worst quarterback first-round pick since Ponder. I would say, or the other guy, the guy that went to Minnesota that was also a Florida State guy. What was his name?
I'm trying to.
His name was.
I thought you were going to say Blaine Gabbert.
No, Blaine Gabbert went to Mizzou.
No, I just meant like in terms of just a reference to some of a bust.
No, this guy was an absolute bust. He was another guy, first rounder. This guy was terrible, man. Terrible. And his name was even when he came out, when he went to leave for the draft, whoever was the coach was like, this guy's not ready for the draft. E.J. Manuel. First round pick.
We were talking about him.
First round, 16th overall, Buffalo Bills. E.J. Manuel.
The 4th and inches specialist.
Yeah, E.J. Manuel.
At the buffet.
Yeah, this guy, but Anthony Richardson's not a good quarterback.
He's just got the makeup. That's what they always say, the makeup.
I'd rather have guys that are winners.
I think the makeup argument's more suited for like starting pitching in baseball. Like, and you can tell the guy's got talent. He's maybe has wild control or something. But
yeah, sometimes you can tone that in. Sometimes they make them outfielders. Those guys.
Yeah, that's true. But Anthony Richardson, a lot of decision-making issues. He's obviously, I don't know. I don't understand it either. I don't know if I would go as far as say it's the worst since Christian Ponder. Or
easily.
I think there's been other first-round quarterbacks. Johnny Manziel.
I'd rather have Manziel than this guy. Am
I talking to Skip Bayless?
But I think Manziel at least had reasonable upside going in.
Yeah.
This guy's got no chance. Zero chance.
He still is a disaster, though.
Oh, he's a disaster. But this guy has zero chance of succeeding at the NFL level.
I don't know. I'm not ready to pull that plug yet.
I'm ready to pull it. The plug is pulled.
Stop pulling it. Stop.
The water's draining.
The water's been drained. The plug's been pulled.
All right, who would you rather have on your NFL roster? Anthony Richardson or Emory Jones?
Emory Jones.
Peyton Manning.
No, not Emory Jones. Who would you rather have?
Who?
Emory Jones or AR?
Neither. I wouldn't draft either of those guys. I think at least Emory Jones you could convert to a wide receiver or corner.
Anthony Richardson looks like the player in The Simpsons when Homer gets the Denver Broncos and he trips over his feet and drops the ball.
He's terrible, man. He throws it to the wrong team.
very often.
It's a fundamental problem. It was the same problem that I thought that Amari Cooper suffered from for so many years. Did you see? Were you here for my Travis Etienne impersonation?
No.
The hand on the ball. This is what he does.
I agree.
It's like, what are you doing?
The thud.
I'm done. I'm done. Who was it? I was at a fight. I was at a boxing match, and it was someone that was supposedly really, really good. Like a guy that was like a top prospect. And it was like he got hit in the face by Marcos Medina, and he just quit right there in the ring. He says, I don't deserve to get beat up like this. That's what he said in the comment. He's getting beaten up. Victor Ortiz. He said, I don't deserve to get beaten up like this. It's like, you do. Actually, you do. Anyways, I like Coastal in this one. Why would you go into the transfer portal before the bowl game? Is the cutoff like right after it?
I think he said he's going to play. He intends to play the bowl game.
Oh, yeah. Then I like Coastal.
Yeah, I like the over.
Coastal's one of the best dogs. Plus, it's in Birmingham, so if they lose, it doesn't count.
Jamie Chadwell bolting for Liberty.
I hate the transfer portal. I hate it. I hate it. And the thing is, my favorite team is a team that probably stands to gain more from it than anybody.
Yeah.
We probably stand in, like, historically, like throughout time and everything like that, we stand to gain more because once it gets time, like this image licensing thing, once we figure this out, no one's going to be able to compete with us. We've been paying guys long before there was image licensing. It's like, we're going to have no problem with this. I mean, even if you weren't good, you got paid. You saw Ja'Cory Harris on that yacht eating sushi. It's like they had the pictures. It's like, what's this? Oh, that's Ja'Cory Harris, your starting quarterback on a yacht eating sushi with a booster. Oh, I didn't know anything about it. They were like, that's worse. It's like when you claim to not know anything about it. That was Jim Tressel at Ohio State. It's like, I didn't know anything about it. That makes it worse, Jim. It's like, when you won the national championship and the Big Ten championship and they fire your ass, it's like, it's bad. Oklahoma State versus Wisconsin. I believe that Gundy might be on his last legs here at Oklahoma State at this point. Tough to fire your own. That's kind of the Patrick Ewing complex here. It is the guaranteed rate bowl, but as we saw in these preseason magazines, Oklahoma State was seen as a top 10 team coming into this season, and this was their year to break through. Most people had them closer to making the playoff than playing a Wisconsin team with a fired coach. Little surprised they didn't keep Jim Leonard as the head coach there at Wisconsin, to be honest with you. I thought he was a perfect fit. Maybe he just didn't have the experience they were looking for. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I hope he takes another job and wipes their ass. That's what I hope happens because I like him. He's like a John Lynch that's not an asshole, right, is what he is. He played like John Lynch, but like he was even grittier than Lynch. I like the guys that hit so hard they injure themselves. Leonard fit that category. I used to sit next to Bobby Hardin's father, so I know this stuff. Ron's looking at the clock. All right, who do you like, Ron?
Oh, give me the under in that one. As Mitch calls him, Ethel Mertz is not going to be playing in this game. I don't think. I know he's in the transfer portal. Even if he does,
how is he in the transfer portal? He's been playing for 5 years.
They've been rumoring he might go to the Gators, and that would be a nightmare.
How is he in the how is he in the transfer portal?
Spencer Sanders is in the portal too.
How? He's a 4-year starter.
I think they gave him the 5th year of eligibility because of the COVID thing.
Stop. Just stop. You know?
You know who else is coming back in the transfer portal? Clayton Tune and Holton Ahlers. Those guys are done. We've had enough of them.
Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me.
They're on their 9th year.
Mike Dom back from China to me take another.
Yeah, Mike Dom. Bringing the Jackrabbits back.
No, he'd have to transfer somewhere else and then come back to the Jackrabbits.
But yeah, the under is for me. Wisconsin's defense was strong down the stretch in Big Ten play, but the offense was so bad. I don't trust them to score enough here, so give me the under.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm on the under too. Just too many transfers in this game to feel good about any sort of continuity. And I think there's just going to be a slop fest for 60 minutes. So give me the under. Wisconsin
for me, they generally play really well in bowl games. They've played us a bunch of times and whipped our ass. I'm going to take Wisconsin in this one. We go to the Military Bowl. Duke against UCF. Duke favored by 3 points. They probably don't have a lot of transfers because kids are dying to get into that place, man. That's not the most competitive school in the country to get into is Duke. Tougher to get into than Harvard these days. Ron?
Yeah, tough game for me. I just really, if UCF didn't have that just horrible game against Tulane in their most recent one, I would probably like UCF a lot more. I'm still going to take the Golden Knights just because I just don't think I think this Duke team is overrated, especially on the defensive side. This team was, last year they gave up 40 points per game. This year it really wasn't expected to do much better, but somehow they only gave up 23 points per game, but the pass defense was still not very good at all. UCF can run the football almost at will. I expect they will be able to in this game as well. I'm going to take the points with UCF.
Yeah, I'm going to lay in with Duke. If John Reese Plumlee can't go here, Mikey Keene's already entered the transfer portal, so it'd be onto a third-string quarterback. I know they could easily just hand the ball off to Isaiah Bowser, but Duke seems to have bought in under Mike Elko. This Duke team is motivated. Won 4 of their last 5 games. I think Duke finishes strong. I like them by at least a field goal here.
Arkansas, I like UCF. I just think they're more physical. I just like their stable of running backs against this Duke defense. Arkansas versus Kansas in the Liberty Bowl. This is a bowl that's kept their sponsor for a long time now at this point. Arkansas versus Kansas, as we saw in these preseason previews, Arkansas, the expectation was a lot higher than the Liberty Bowl. They were thinking maybe Cotton Bowl for the Hogs. Ron?
I'm going to take the over in this one as well. I don't trust either of these defenses, but both offenses were pretty explosive this year. Kansas kind of came out of nowhere, 34 points per game this season. I know they had some injuries at quarterback and such, but I still think they're good enough to put some points on an Arkansas defense that was miserable this season. Real surprise for me of how bad this Arkansas defense was. So give me the over.
Chris? Yeah, I'm taking the over too with a lean towards Kansas. Yeah, I just like lots of points in this game, and I've soured a bit on KJ Jefferson and Sam Pittman. So give me the Kansas Jayhawks and the over as well in this one.
I'm going to take Kansas on the money line in that one. I just think I think for them it's a big deal, this game. Well, for Arkansas, it is a letdown, even though they haven't been all that good in recent years either. Go to the Holiday Bowl where North Carolina plays Oregon. This was always traditionally Pac-12 versus Big 12, but now it's ACC this year. North Carolina versus Oregon. I think Oregon was hoping to be in a better spot than this too. Ron?
Yeah, but you know what? It's North Carolina may be in the ACC, but they kind of played like a Big 12 team this year. Defense was optional. They scored a ton of points, but they were exposed in a big way against Clemson, 39-10 final. It was an ugly game. I know Oregon's defense is nowhere near as tough as Clemson's was, but it's still a solid Oregon defense, and I think Oregon's offense is a lot more explosive than Clemson's was in that game. I think Oregon, they're big favorites in this spot for a reason. I'm going to lay the points with the Ducks.
I think Oregon's defense might be getting better as time goes on with Lanning as the head coach. So, Chris?
Yeah, this is a big number, but yeah, I agree. I think it's warranted. I think Oregon wins this one comfortably. But I do also like the over here. I think Oregon's probably going to score at will on North Carolina. They could, get into the high 40s here, but I still think North Carolina could do enough to contribute to an over up to get us up and over 71.5. I could see, 49-28 or something like that. So give me Oregon in a beat down with the over.
I like Oregon as well in the beatdown. I just think they're the better team. I think there's going to be, it's like, 13.5 is a big number, but I just think there's going to be enough points in this game where 13.5 isn't going to be actually that big of a number. I think it's like, 56-35, something like that. Last game is the Texas Bowl. Ole Miss versus Texas Tech. Ole Miss is disappointing here too.
Yeah. I mean, you look at two teams in totally different directions. Texas Tech won their last 3 down the stretch. They beat Iowa State on the road, Kansas, Oklahoma, and then Ole Miss on the other side lost their last 3. Bama, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Tough teams, but when you're Lane Kiffin and the Rebels team that was ranked most of the year, you expect to at least win one of those games, especially a home game over Mississippi State against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. But right now I'm leaning towards Ole Miss and laying the points in this game just because Lane Kiffin, you never have to worry about his teams laying points and not really wanting to cover because he has his foot on the pedal the entire way. If this is a 3-point game down the stretch and they're in victory formation, they're going to still run the football, try to score some more points. So that's never a bad thing. But the Texas Tech defense, the Big 12 defense, I don't think it's going to hold up in a game against an SEC opponent. So give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm taking the over here. Like you said, two teams like to be on the front foot offensively. Ole Miss likes to keep their foot on the gas the entire way. I think it's going to be the same sort of deal. I could easily see 38-34, 38-35 kind of game here. A barn burner to close out the action on the day. So give me the over between Texas Tech and Ole Miss.
I'm taking Texas Tech. I just think they can keep it close enough to cover. I don't know if it gets to that over 69.5, but I definitely like the cover for Texas Tech. I think they got a chance to win it outright. Anyways, that wraps up part 1 of our college football show. The next one is a lot less games and a lot more name brands. Leads off with Minnesota, Syracuse, Florida State, Oklahoma, Washington, Texas. So that will be it, and it will be next week as well. So thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great first week of bowl season. And all that kind of good stuff. Be sure to watch Ron's breakdown.
You gotta get this right. Bank shot breakdown.
So is the bank shot like take it to the bank? That's the idea of it, like the bank, like banking.
Well, the bank shot in college and in basketball is just off the backboard and in.
Grabbing that bag shot, dude.
Bag shot breakout.
I read a Spanish commenter that said that they just fade all of your picks on the bag
Yeah, I
shot.
saw that too. No, I texted Big Al. I said we were talking about a game that he liked, and I said, well, it's a good sign because I'm getting hammered on that same game both in English and in Spanish. So we're in good shape.
I just fade every pick. It was Louisville, right? I just fade every pick this guy gives out. Like I wrote it in Spanish. I didn't pick up on it until I clicked on the translate button, and then it said that, and I was like, what?
Well, I had somebody from Venezuela actually defend me in Spanish, and they said something like he's good or whatever. But I thought that was funny. I appreciated it.
Yeah, it's it's the life of the YouTube. Like I think Jay has probably been 75% in the last week, and he's been he had like one day where he went like 3-2. He got hammered.
Oh yeah. It's like I go 3-2, and somehow I went 0-5.
You go from penthouse to outhouse in a hurry, man, and it's like way easier to go from penthouse to outhouse than it is for people to even say, to me, it's like there's nothing more annoying than when I have a bad day for people to overstate my record to the bad side. It's like, does that make you feel better about yourself lying? I mean, it's like all the picks are there. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week. Ron's got somewhere to go. He's graduating. It's going to be late for graduation.